physically to mind. He was scrubbed raw and clean, and the itching was gone even from his sprouting beard. The metal cloth of his Pyrran coverall had dried almost as soon as it had been washed, so he was wearing clean clothes as well. Ijale was still recovering from the traumatic effects of her bath, but she looked positively attractive with her skin cleaned and her hair washed and combed a bit. He would have to find some of the local cloth for her, since it would be a shame to ruin the good work by letting her get back into the badly cured skins she was used to wearing. It was with a sensation of positive good feeling that he bellowed for the door to be opened and stamped through the cool morning to his place of labor. Myka was already there, looking scruffy and angry as he rattled his chains. Jason gave him the friendliest of smiles that only rubbed salt into the other's moral wounds. "Leg irons for him, too," Jason ordered, "and do it fast. We have a big job to do today." He turned back to the sealed engine, rubbing his hands together with anticipation. The concealing hood was made of thin metal that could not hide many secrets. He carefully scratched away some of the paint and discovered a crimped and soldered joint where the sides met, but no other revealing marks. After an hour spent tapping all over with his ear pressed to the metal, he was sure that the hood was just what he had thought it was when he first examined the thing: a double-walled metal container filled with liquid. Puncture it and you were dead. It was there merely to hide the secrets of the engine and served no other function, yet it had to be passed to service the steam engine. Or did it? The construction was roughly cubical, and the hood covered only 5 sides. What about the 6th? The base? "Now you're thinking, Jason," he chortled to himself and knelt down to examine it. A wide flange, apparently of cast iron, projected all around, and it was penetrated by 4 large bolt holes. The protective casting seemed to be soldered to the base, but there must be stronger, concealed attachments, because it would not move even after he carefully scratched away some of the solder at the base. Therefore, the answer simply had to be on the 6th side. "Over here, Myka," he called, and the man detached himself reluctantly from the warmth of the stove and shuffled up. "Come close and look at this medieval motive power while we talk as if we are discussing business. Are you going to cooperate with me?" "I do not want to, Jason. I am afraid that you will soil me with your touch as you have others." "Well, you're not so clean now." "I do not mean physically." "Well, I do. You could certainly do with a bath and a deep shampoo. I'm not worried about the state of your soul. You can battle that out on your own time. But if you work with me, I'll find a way to get us out of this place and to the city that made this engine, because if there is a way off this planet, we'll find it only in the city." "I know that, yet still I hesitate." "Small sacrifices now for the greater good later. Isn't the entire purpose of this trip to get me back to justice? You're not going to accomplish that by rotting out the rest of your life as a slave." "You are the devil's advocate, the way you twist my conscience. Yet what you say is true. I will help you here so that we can escape." "Fine. Now get to work. Take Narsisi and have him round up at least 3 good-sized poles, the kind we were chained to in the pumping gang. Bring them back here along with a couple of shovels." Slaves carried the poles only as far as the outside of the skin walls, since Edipon would not admit them inside, and it was up to Jason and Myka to drag them laboriously to the site. The D'zertanoj, who never did physical labor, thought it was very funny when Jason suggested that they help. Once in position by the engine, Jason dug channels beneath it and forced the bars under. When this was done, he took turns with Myka in digging out the sand beneath until the engine stood over a pit supported only by the bars. Jason let himself down and examined the bottom of the machine. It was smooth and featureless. Once more he scratched away the paint with careful precision until it was cleared around the edges. Here the solid metal gave way to solder, and he picked at this until he discovered that a piece of sheet metal had been soldered at the edges and fastened to the bed plate. Very tricky, these Appsalanoj. He chortled and attacked the solder with a knife blade. When one end was loose he slowly pulled the sheet of metal away, making positive that there was nothing attached to it, nor that it had been booby-trapped in any way. It came off easily enough and clanged down into the pit. The revealed surface was smooth metal, featureless and hard. "Enough for one day," Jason said, climbing out of the pit and brushing off his hands. It was almost dark. We've accomplished enough for now, and I want to think a bit before I go ahead. So far, luck has been on our side, but I don't think it should be this easy. I hope you brought your suitcase with you, Micah, because you're moving in with me." "Never! A sink of sin, depravity!" Jason looked him coldly in the eye, and with each word he spoke he stabbed him in the chest with his finger to drive the point home. "You are moving in with me because that is essential to our plans. If you stop referring to my moral weaknesses, I'll stop talking about yours. Now come on." Living with Micah Salmon was trying, but barely possible. He made Ilja and Jason go to the far wall and turn their backs, and promised not to look while he bathed behind a screen of skins. Jason did this, but exacted a small revenge by telling Ijal jokes so that they tittered together and Micah would be sure they were laughing at him. The screen of skins remained after the bath and was reinforced, and Micah retired behind it to sleep. Their food still consisted only of krenoj, and Jason shuddered while he admitted that he was actually growing used to them. The following morning, under the frightened gaze of his guards, Jason tackled the underside of the baseplate. He had been thinking about it a good part of the night, and he put his theories to the test at once. By pressing hard on a knife he could make a good groove in the metal. It was not as soft as the solder, but seemed to be some simple alloy containing a good percentage of lead. What could it be concealing? Probing carefully with the point of the knife, he covered the bottom in a regular pattern. The depth of the metal was uniformly deep except in two spots where he found irregularities. They were on the midline of the rectangular base and equidistant from the ends and sides. Picking and scraping, he uncovered two familiar-looking shapes, each as big as his head. "Micah, get down in this hole and look at these things. Tell me what you think they are." Micah scratched his head. "They're still covered with this metal. I can't be sure." "I'm not asking you to be sure of anything. Just tell me what they make you think of." "Why, big nuts, of course, threaded on the ends of bolts. But they are so big." "They would have to be if they hold the entire metal case on. I think we are getting very close now to the mystery of how to open the engine, and this is the time to be careful. I still can't believe it is as easy as this to crack the secret. I'm going to whittle a wooden template of the nut, then have a wrench made. While I'm gone, you stay down here and pick all the metal off the bolt and out of the screw threads. I can put off doing it while we think this thing through, but sooner or later I'm going to have to take a stab at turning one of those nuts, and I find it very hard to forget about that mustard gas." Making the wrench put a small strain on the local technology, and all of the old men who enjoyed the title of Masters of the Still went into consultation over it. One of them was a fair blacksmith, and after a ritual sacrifice and a round of prayers, he shoved a bar of iron into the charcoal, and Jason pumped the bellows until it glowed white hot. With much hammering and cursing, it was laboriously formed into a sturdy open-end wrench, with an offset head to get at the countersunk nuts. Jason made sure that the opening was slightly undersized, then took the untempered wrench to the worksite and filed the jaws to an exact fit. After being reheated and quenched in oil, he had the tool that he hoped would do the job. Edipon must have been keeping track of the work progress, because he was waiting near the engine when Jason returned with the completed wrench. "I have been under," he announced, "and have seen the nuts that the devilish Appsalanoj have concealed with solid metal. Who would have suspected? It still seems to me impossible that one metal could be hidden with another. How could that be done?" "Easy enough. The base of the assembled engine was put into a form and the molten covering metal poured into it. It must have a much lower melting point than the steel of the engine, so there would be no damage. They just have a better knowledge of metal technology in the city and counted on your ignorance." "Ignorance? You insult—" I take it back. I just meant they thought they could get away with the trick, and since they didn't, they are the stupid ones. Does that satisfy you?" "What do you do next?" "I take off the nuts, and when I do there's a good chance that the poison hood will be released and can simply be lifted off." "It is too dangerous for you to do. The fiends may still have other traps ready when the nut is turned. I will send a strong slave to turn them while we watch from a distance. His death will not matter." I'm touched by your concern for my health, but